Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vince.
That music's infectious. I want a boogie.
We've got Chris.
For all my darksome majesty, I wasn't what I seemed.
Oh, and I'm Kia. Hi, welcome to the show. Welcome to more quarantine episodes. We're doing movie tie-ins because movies are big these days, right? Everybody's going to the theater. When's the last time y'all went to the theater? Is that 5 years ago? 6 years ago? Feels like
we went the week right before they closed to go see Sonic the Hedgehog and Call of the Wild. Probably shouldn't have done that, but here we are.
Well, hey, sometimes Sonic the Hedgehog is worth it,
It was pretty fun. No, I've actually go to Box Office Mojo and just see, and people, there's still 2 theaters open in Phoenix, still running movie. It's stupid.
What?
So there's this super indie film that's we're number 1 in the country right now. We were number 1 for several weeks in a row. So
wow. Good for them.
It's a good record, I guess, to have. Weirdly.
Yeah. So today we're reading some New Mutants stuff because there was a New Mutants movie coming out soon, but it's been delayed. Who knows how long?
I feel like it's been in development. It got reshoots and pushed back several times. I doubt it'll ever happen now.
Yeah. So we kept pushing back our read of it until we were like, you know what? No, the people need to hear this. We can't push it back anymore. We have to cover the New Mutants.
I feel like they're going to dump it on Disney Plus or Hulu.
Something like that.
Well, then we're ahead of the curve then, right?
Yeah, exactly. We are not starting at the beginning here. I think, honestly, I kind of like these episodes where we don't start at the very beginning and just kind of jump into a cool story a little bit later. We are reading the Demon Bear Saga, from number 18 through 21. I guess we should talk a little bit about New Mutants and who they are. Our creative team here is Chris Claremont, the granddaddy of what would you call him? The granddaddy of the X-Men? No, he's like the.
He's like he didn't create them, but he definitely adopted them and raised them as his own.
Right. Yeah.
And he's responsible.
Cool. Yeah.
He's going to walk them down the aisle.
Yeah, there you go. That makes sense. And we've got Bill Sienkiewicz on art, who always does some kind of crazy, scratchy, messy kind of stuff, and works well for some of the stuff he's telling here.
I was not expecting this type of art for an 80s X book, I'll tell you that.
Well, I thought, isn't this 1990? Am I making
No,
that
it's
up?
80.
No, 84.
84. Geez, I had the year all wrong. Okay. I think I said that on the last episode, too. I must be getting some wrong insight.
I think I got New Warriors and New Mutants confused, and then maybe Rob Liefeld took over New Mutants in the 90s and made them big again? Is that?
Yeah, and I think 89 is when Liefeld starts with New Mutants, and then 91 X-Force is the New Mutants plus Cable.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and New Mutants really is a story of just kind of the younger generation of mutants living at Professor X's school. I got to call him Professor Javier because I have an employee that I work with whose name is Javier, but he spells it with an X, and so I'm constantly calling him Xavier and just feeling terrible about it. So I got to get myself into the habit.
So you've overcorrected.
Yes, Professor Javier.
That was Marvel 1602 was Javier also.
Exactly, it was, yeah. So it works okay. We're tying back into that. So, this book is this the first book of the young class of students living at Javier?
You've got the new X-Men in 75. You've got Kitty Pryde in I think 77 or 78, and then basically editorial was like, hey, how come it's supposed to be a school for gifted youngsters, but they're going out and drinking and having sex? Could we have one with teens?
It's accurate.
Yeah, fair enough. Makes sense.
Well, that would confuse me because one time they said Rain looks like a baby, and I'm like, Rain looks like a 35-year-old woman, in the art. So
no, she doesn't.
They're supposed to be teenagers in this book.
Yes, okay. They're clearly teenagers.
Yeah.
Even when Rachel, I guess we're getting into it a little bit, but when Rachel Summers shows up and she's much taller than Ileana.
Okay.
It's she's 14, and Rachel is an adult, and she's acts like she's seen a ghost because she already saw Ileana die.
I didn't realize that was Rachel Summers. All right, we'll get to that. I was who is?
And I guess this is also an era where the X books were greatly expanding because New Mutants and Alpha Flight both came out in 83. Or
Alpha Flight isn't really X-Men stuff.
It says exploding from the pages of X-Men.
Okay,
yes, it's a
issue one. Yeah. But I mean with the Byrne connection also. So X-Men was big at this point, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, this is the first official spinoff, and they start doing, especially around this time, interconnected stories that are a bit annoying to read. If when I did my Uncanny X-Men read, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Because like Magma's story, like she'll just show up in an issue of Uncanny X-Men and like, we all know Magma. I was like, no, I don't. Who is this woman?
So yeah, let's just jump into it here. Like I said, we're starting with number 18. We start with, I guess this is Rachel Summers, who's kind of talking about her and seeing Professor X die. Like the mansion was kind of surrounded by the army and all that kind of stuff. And at first I was a little confused. So I'm like, wait, who is she? What are we doing? But we'll get back to her later, because we really kind of start this story in the Danger Room. We've got kind of meeting the members of the team. We have Cannonball, Sam Guthrie. He can like barrel himself into any direction, kind of become invulnerable, but he's got some trouble controlling that.
Bullet Bill from Mario.
Bullet Bill. Okay, there we go.
Like Mario Kart is probably better for y'all. Mario Kart's more known, but yeah.
What? Everybody knows Bullet Bill, I think.
He's a Mario Kart power thing where you don't even control him. He just goes and smashes everything.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
It's more like when you have a turbo mushroom and you just hit it over and over and over again, and you're just like, ah! All right.
Right.
I feel like
but it's also like a star though, because he's nigh invulnerable when he's blasting.
You're right.
Or like a cannonball, because you can't stop it.
It's a good name. I would have gone with Bullet Bill / star / turbo mushroom. Cannonball is pretty good too.
Not to be confused with the Juggernaut. Right,
yeah, not Juggernaut at all. We have Magma, who is Amara Aquila. She just kind of looks like she is lava, like kind of flowing through her, but she's a human person. I don't know. I like the way that Bill Sienkiewicz draws her. We don't learn too much about her till a little bit later. She's just kind of a general fiery person. Mm-hmm. We have Ilyana Rasputin, aka Magic. Do they actually call her Magic in this book?
I don't think they ever did.
I didn't know that. I didn't pick up on it until like at the very end of our last issue when they had like character bios. And I was like, this is not helpful now, but I know the name Magic.
Yeah, she is the younger sister of Colossus.
Yes,
and she can do magic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we've also got Danny Lone Star, who
Moonstar.
Oh, is it Danny Moonstar? But her dad's name was Lone Star, and that confused me.
Yeah.
Anyways, it doesn't matter. She lost
Moonstar.
her parents to a bear.
Her parents were killed by a demon bear.
Demon Bear, yeah. So her name is Danny Moonstar. I did have that right the first time, and I changed it.
Her code name is Mirage, but nobody calls her that in this book.
Yeah, I definitely never heard that. Everyone calls her Danny. We've got Roberto da Costa, a.k.a. Sunspot. I feel like he's still around. I read some stuff with him a few years ago.
Yeah, he actually joined, was it the Avengers, like X-Men team, about 5 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
Him and somebody else from New Mutants. I think it might have been Cannonball. But two minor X-Men characters got promoted. He was also in, I think both Cannonball and him were in the X-Force we read a couple years ago.
Cool.
Where they went to Burning Man.
We've also got Rain Sinclair, a.k.a. Wolfsbane, who... this is where it kind of confused me a little bit. Rachel Summers looks so much like Rain Sinclair with the short red hair that I was getting myself a little bit confused as to who was what and if that was some other version of Rain. I don't know.
I don't think they look alike, though. They're drawn very differently.
You're probably right, but again, it's just when I'm meeting a whole lot of characters, it's the hair. I go like, okay, this is a blonde one. This is a minority. This is a short red-haired person. Wait, two short red-haired people?
Because like Rain is very childlike in a lot of what she does in these issues, and like Rachel is like she cries a lot, but she's an adult.
Right. That's why I thought this was like a future version of Rain. That was because stuff wasn't recognized, and she was like, "What is going on here?" But that's just my mistake. We know now this is Rachel Summers visiting, but we don't really get to her for a little while. She's not even like a super important part of this story as a whole. I think we're just kind of seeing glimpses of her until she becomes a major player, right?
Yeah, and that's funny because like she's the one I know because I read a bit of the X Factor back in I want to say like 04, 05. So like I know Rain more than anybody else in this book,
right?
Except for the dude from the X Factor Burning Man story.
Right. You mentioned X Factor as well, which reminds me we got to get to Marvel's number 6 after this. Marvel's Eye of the Camera. We're at the end. We're
closing the book. That was a great subtitle on that.
The book. All right. So we'll get to that after we're done with New Mutants. So what do we have here? Danny and Ilyana are talking about how they recently went forward in time and saw some stuff. I guess that was their last adventure. We meet Rachel Summers, who, like you were saying, meets Ilyana. Is like, oh my god, I thought you were dead. So she leaves. We also get glimpses of the next story, which is going to be Warlock in space. He's like a robot dude. Not Adam Warlock, but we'll get to him as well. But yeah, we're just kind of learning a little bit about what's been going on with Danny, who lost her family to the Demon Bear. She's training really hard to kind of go after this Demon Bear, and her excuse is that she just wants to kind of pull her weight on the team. She doesn't necessarily have any, like, combat kind of powers. They're more... What are her powers, exactly?
Well, so she, like I said, she used to go by the name Mirage because she
Right.
could make illusions. But I guess whatever she did in her recent adventures, she's not doing that anymore. So, or at least they weren't effective. So she's like, I need to train so that I can fight without my powers or something like that.
Right.
So she's got some mental powers that she can use to make illusions to, you know, trick people and scare them. But she is being haunted by this 20-foot tall bear that keeps showing up in her dreams.
I think that's accurate. It's a pretty big bear. But it's also magic. I feel like it can change sizes as needed in order to intimidate.
Yes.
So she goes out bear hunting at night, and she, I guess, succeeds in having this battle with the demon bear and stabbing it, and she's like, hey, cool, I did it. But I guess not, because Rain, Wolfbane, she kind of wakes up in the middle of the night. She's got a psychic connection with Danny, and she goes, oh no, something's wrong, and the whole team runs out, and Danny's like lying bloody in the snow. And yeah, I feel like this already kind of grabbed me. I like the art style. I'm getting to know all the characters, and it's given me one character to kind of latch on as far as the story goes. So I don't know. I'm on board. Vince, I know you typically aren't as big on team books and stuff that jumps around a whole lot. How did you feel at this point?
I was like, this is a lot going on. Not what I was expecting. I'm like, Demon Bear's cool. Why are we talking about this other Starjammers Warlock story? Like, don't
oh yeah, the Starjammers were there. I keep forgetting about them.
Yeah, that's in the next issue is when the Starjammers show up.
Sorry, yeah, but you know, which is, I'm gonna say probably something I credited when we read the X books last time. It's like, oh, they teased like a story from 2 arcs. You know, they're slowly teasing their next arc while they're finishing this arc. So I credited it there, but now I'm like, what is this doing here? And that's probably because I don't know the characters very well, and the fact that they have both like a real name and a code name really messes with me. And at this point, this book, I mean, I think a little in some of the later issues where it's a lot of fighting and a lot of people showing their powers and not a lot of who they are, aside from like Ilyana and Rain and what's her name? And we just talked about her.
Magma.
Moonstone. Moonstar. Yes.
I feel like all right.
Like, I think the next few issues lost me more than this one. The thing is, I'm always on board for a bear monster. My favorite is the Golden Compass. The best part of the Golden Compass was the Ice Bear. So I'm just thinking this is a Demon Bear, and I'm on board for that. And the art is really cool at this point. The bear looks awesome.
Yeah, that's an HBO series now, isn't it? His Dark Materials.
Yeah, with the girl from Logan as the main character.
Oh yeah.
I didn't hear anything about it one way or the other, which I thought that I know people didn't like the movie, but I didn't hear anything much about the TV show one way or the other.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure it's quote unquote fine.
Yeah. Bill Sienkiewicz's art here is like, I mean, if you want to have sort of the shock that I'm sure readers had, like read the couple of issues before this one, and it's like, this is crazy, you know, like
because Sal Buscema was on this in the issue right before this, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sal Buscema is a good artist, but like he has a very like Marvel style art where it looks like what you think all the characters should look like, and everybody is very like it's very normal, replacement level art, and then this is just like crazy town right away. Like I almost wish he didn't have the Warlock stuff that's being seeded here, because you can see that like he's using some similar like artistic style tricks with Warlock that he's using with the bear.
He's like anytime he tries to draw somebody who's being crazy, it's always one eye bigger than the other, and it's a fun look, but it does start to get a little like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, and like so much like negative space and like digital art type. It's 1984, so obviously it's not actually digital, but he's trying to make it look like it's like computer generated.
Yeah, the trade that I'm reading is which version of it is it? It's the Epic Collection, and there's painted versions of a lot of these covers in there, which are really gorgeous. Man, I just love his aesthetic. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, because like in 1980, Bill Sienkiewicz's art. I mean, like Neil Adams made fun of him because of how much his Moon Knight looked like Batman. Like it was very much of like, oh, I'm just going to draw Neil Adams Batman, but for Marvel, which was really good. But like this is not that at all. Like this is nothing like Neil Adams' stuff.
Man, in the beginning of issue 19, with Danny being in the hospital and like the doctors are like rushing around, I thought he did a great job just with that one panel of the doctors kind of rushing. They have their own, like, I don't know, the individual look. I almost thought one of them looked like Bill Murray a little bit. I don't know. Did y'all get that at all? Anyways, Bill Murray is a doctor who is treating Danny.
Issue 2, I think, or issue part 2, 19, issue 19, has a really cool thing on its cover where, on the little top part where it has the Marvel, and they traditionally would put, like, the heroes in each issue.
Right.
It has one of Danny, like, hooked up to an IV, or, like, a blood drip. And it's really cool, because, like, that's not usually an element you use to, like, tell, like, the status of a character going into an issue. But it's really cool. I'm like, I just watched it. I looked at it, and I'm like, this is a good time.
I didn't even notice that. I do love that. Awesome.
Yeah, it's an awesome cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite cover of the whole thing. This giant bear, just like, oh, so cool. But yeah, this whole issue does start to get a little weird, where like all the teenagers are there in the hospital, and they introduce themselves with their full names to the officer, who is just kind of there, like, "What's going on here, kid?" Then they like go and get changed because they can tell that this demon bear is going to be attacking, so they get in their uniforms and they kind of go to sleep in their uniforms in the hospital. I kind of lost track a little bit of exactly what was happening here. They just knew the danger was coming and they were getting ready.
Yeah, Wolfsbane turns into her wolf form to like connect to Danny, like while she's on the operating room table, which like the doctors are like, what the hell? Like her brain is going crazy. Like she's starting to regain consciousness, which is bad. She'll go into shock and die. So they like have to dope her up more. So like Wolfsbane feels really bad. Apparently in the movie, and I haven't seen the movie. It hasn't been released as of this episode. It may never be released. Who knows? Apparently in the movie, they're going to make Rain at least more like bisexual or gay. Because there's definitely that element where she's like, I'm going to wear like Danny's like part of her uniform. And Sam is like, okay, cool, go for it.
Yeah, that did strike me a little weird, but I was like, okay, maybe it's part of this like mental connection, help make it a little bit stronger. So she wakes up again. She's like, oh my god, the bear's here, and they go fighting the bear, who transports them to the bear magic demon
I was gonna
realm.
say that's the end of the issue, though. That's jumping past the whole issue.
Did I think that's all the notes I wrote. I didn't write much else down.
As Vince mentioned, the Starjammers show up like for no good reason.
Yeah, I didn't write that down. Don't care about the Starjammers.
For a reason, but no good reason. I like your characters.
Fan favorite character, Chode, as we like to call him. I think it's Chod, but it's CH''OD.
And like the leader of the Starjammers, Corsair, that's Cyclops' dad, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I think they know that by this point. This is in the mid 80s, so I think they all know like what the score is as far as that goes. But yeah, they're like, we can't warn Earth. There's this spaceship coming through, and it's Warlock, who we haven't met yet. I guess we do meet him briefly in this issue. He's going to join the team soon, but it's seeding an upcoming storyline. And then there's also a good scene that I really liked where we meet this officer and this nurse. The officer is told like, oh yeah, because he's like, what the hell happened to this? You know, you guys just showed up at the hospital. This girl was like very clearly attacked, and they're like, yeah, we think a bear did it. And he's like,
whoa,
a bear, like in Westchester? Like what the hell's going on? So then he's like outside of Danny's or outside of some room in the hospital, and he sees Wolfsbane in wolf form. And he thinks it's the bear and pulls his gun on her. And then she runs around the corner and turns into a human. And he's like, no, it's just me. And he's just like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. I was about to shoot this teenage girl.
Yeah, I like this cop and the nurse are also they're like flirting together a little bit. It was a very human kind of moment, and I enjoyed that. It's not something that I've like. Again, I started with Chris Claremont reading a lot of his more modern stuff, which is not the best. So it's nice to be able to see all this really good stuff from him.
I forgot this is Claremont because this is not like overwritten at all.
Right. Compared to a lot of his other stuff that I've not overwritten at all.
It does remind me though, like of like Proteus, where like he introduced like a sympathetic cop, and you're like, oh, that guy is dead meat. Where he introduces this cop, and he's like a nice cop, and you're like, watch out, buddy, things are not gonna go good.
Although not the exact fate this guy faces.
Yeah, it was very weird.
Yeah. So they go ahead.
The weird vibe I got from this issue, weirdly, is Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Which doesn't come out for like another 4 years after this, but it's like a bunch of teenagers in a hospital with like a demon that kind of attacks through dreams, like showing up with Freddy Krueger, obviously, with the movie, which is I think 87. But that's the vibe I got, mostly because they both also have like a major like red tint to the whole issue. It felt very Freddy Krueger-y to me, which is weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, plus the kind of claws on the bear look like and I love the way this bear stands. Like he's towering over people, hands over his head. It's the perfect bear stand.
And when we're talking like superhero books, like a demon bear that doesn't like monologue and doesn't do anything, and you have no idea what its deal is. Like it's very atypical for like what you would say. Like, well, an X-Men comic. Let's read that. They're fighting a monster bear. Does it monologue? No. What's its deal? I don't know. It killed somebody's parents.
It's an evil bear. What do you need, a roadmap?
And then it drags him into its bear realm. Get with it. Like, duh.
Well, so at the beginning of 20, with like this cool map from Bill Sienkiewicz. I'm just kind of jumping to the next one. Yeah, where you can see like this realm, whatever it is, and the areas where the bear has taken over are black, and so you kind of see it like get more and more splotchy, like paint splattered on it throughout the course of the issue, and there's some, like, it starts to talk a little bit about, like, Native American, not necessarily the heritage, but, like, how it, like, the domain was untouched by the invaders from across the sea. And I'm like, oh, this is like a Native American kind of, like, a representation of a lot of, I don't know, what words would you use? Just kind of the troubles that they've had to deal with. All that kind of.
Right, like it's more in the like mystical realm where like gods walk around and all these things, where trickster gods and stuff like that exist. And the bear is obviously an evil force in this world, so it's bad that they were brought to this place. Mm-hmm. We also didn't mention another, and it doesn't really matter, but I like, Claremont is, if he's guilty of anything, he's overseeding, but there's a lot of mystery where it's just like magic gets scratched by the bear. And she's like, what the hell? Because, like, armor shows up where she gets scratched. She's like, is the bear doing this or am I doing this? It's like a cool thing of, like, she's a teenager. She doesn't know her own powers. So she's like, I don't know if I'm doing this or the bear's making me do it.
I kind of missed that a little bit. There is a lot that's going on in this book. Sometimes, we talked about Chris mentioned the seeding being, like, I don't know, not always necessarily super clear. It was hard for me to tell, like, what is something I really need to be paying attention to now and being confused by versus something I need to just say, oh, okay, that'll come back later. Let's not worry about it. Because there was a lot of it going on, but it's okay. It wasn't too bad to follow, I don't think. At least not once the story gets going. So what else is happening? There's a big fight in this other realm that they're in. One doctor, at one point, while they're like working on her in the real world, says, shouldn't we just let her die? That struck me as kind of weird. I didn't like that.
Yeah, that doctor, not the best.
Not the best.
He's like the just okay doctor. He's like, well, she would be crippled, wouldn't she?
AT&T is a sponsor. Are you scared? Me too. That's a good commercial.
The officer and the nurse have also been kidnapped in this realm, or at least just their souls. The demon bear corrupts their souls and turns them into like these wicked, evil versions of them.
Yeah, which is, again, the demon versions look a little too much like a Warlock's bad guy, Magus or whatever he is, that he fights. Where I'm like, they've got the weird mouths and everything, and the eyes that are different sizes. They're a little bit too the same.
Right. But it all is all still like fun battle scenes until they are eventually able to succeed. How do they succeed exactly? It's Ilyana is able to kind of do it using some magic. She's got this this sword that she slices through it.
She's got a soul sword.
Soul sword, that's it. And she's able to defeat it. And it turns out that the bear was Danny's parents. They got turned into the bear. They weren't killed by the bear. They just got like absorbed and sucked into it. Oh wow! So Danny's parents are alive. Wonderful. But Danny is like way hurt. Probably is not going to recover anytime soon. Also, the nurse and the cop are Native Americans now.
Yeah, being possessed by Native American demon forces turned them into Native Americans. And Rain is not very tactful about noticing that.
Yeah, it's very yeah, it is what it is. Okay. So we also get some
rush
help.
right over that one.
Yeah, it's very strange, but I guess it's also like
Very
she's
strange.
Scottish. She doesn't know, but she does use the term Red Indians. I'm like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
I'm just trying to think from Claremont's standpoint. Like, okay, so then, all right, they're gonna go through this, and what's gonna happen at the end of it? They're gonna change race. It's gonna be a good storytelling point. Like, Chris, I wouldn't do that.
I'm sure there is some kind of symbolism in there that might, but I just no, I didn't want to really think about it too much.
I wouldn't have done it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, Claremont does a good job with introducing like fun supporting characters. Like, who could forget Stevie, Kitty Pryde's ballet dancing instructor, who would go on to appear in New Mutants and other books. But it's just like, yeah, but we don't really care about this character. Like, you know, like if this cop comes back and he's like, oh, I'm stuck in a Native American body. Now I have to deal with prejudice. Like, I don't really care about him.
Yeah.
Turned down for a promotion now that I'm not white, and you're like, what?
Oh boy. So who else do we get? Okay. So Professor Javier says he's going to help Danny Moonstar get her body all healed up. Sends Storm and a healer mutant named Healer. Good name for a healer mutant. They help her body recover. I don't know why Storm had to be there. Didn't seem to actually do anything.
Because she's head of the Morlocks, and he's a Morlock.
Oh, okay.
So she had to boss him into doing it. Because I guess Professor X couldn't just control him into doing it.
And then that's pretty much this issue. And then we went on to number 21, which is kind of an unrelated story where Warlock the robot comes in during a slumber party, which was a double-sized issue. Anything else we want to say about the Demon Bear, I guess, before we get into this Warlock thing? No? Cool Demon Bear? I think we covered it.
Vince, do you have any other opinions?
I didn't love it. But I also like the Demon Bear concepts. Anytime the Demon Bear's there, I'm on board. Anytime the Demon Bear's not there, boo.
Boo. Fair enough. So yeah, on to 21. We've got a big old slumber party where I guess I don't know where Professor Javier is, but the kids decide to throw a party, and all these normies show up, non-mutants. They're like, "Whoa! I can't believe we get to be at this mansion." We've got Danny, who is still in her wheelchair now, just gotten out of the hospital. Rain is a little bit of a buzzkill. She wants to go to bed. And also we see Warlock, the robot, crashing down into Earth. He bumps into Magneto along the way and crashes his ship a little bit. That's pretty cool. And yeah, we just kind of get a lot of these. I think this is what we maybe would have helped you at the beginning. Some of these more human moments, getting to know some of the characters, Vince. Because we get, someone makes fun of Amara Magma for not knowing who Michael Jackson is, and she's losing her temper. Some tremors in the place, which I think is a cool little way to show that kind of thing. Everyone playfully assaults Rain with makeup, and she's terrified and starts to turn into a werewolf. But Danny psychically puts her under control a little bit. I liked all these moments; they were very nice. Cannonball does not recognize Rain with the makeup on. He gets a punch for it. Cool. Yeah,
he's asking literally for everyone except Rain, and then she punches him.
Yep. So he and Sunspot go outside, and they're hanging out, and they find this crash-landed ship, and they're like, well, what is this thing? I don't know. Let's bring it inside and not tell anyone. Cool. Let's do that. And of course, things kind of go sideways quick. Warlock is kind of wild. He just kind of needs some energy source, doesn't necessarily know what humans are, and is kind of attacking everything until they're able to connect with him and help him out. And it's just, kind of a lot of wild art. The normies that are in the mansion are just like, what's going on? And it's pretty much a kind of story that you'd expect from that sort of setup from it. They make friends with Warlock, and then a wild robot joins the X-Men. I guess I skipped over a lot, but yeah, Professor X shows up at the end and it's like, whoa, what is this party? What happened here? Was there a fight? And the kids say, hey, can this robot join the X-Men? Professor X says, okay, sure. Just kind of a fun one-off thing. I have seen Warlock before. I am thinking now about the connection to Adam Warlock, because there was also a Magus in Adam Warlock's universe, right?
Yes, that was his future clone that forms that religion.
Right. And Warlock's dad is named Magus, and so I'm wondering if this is on purpose. I feel like it has to be.
Yes, it definitely is. Like, Warlock is dead, and they're reusing the IP and like their connection to Magus.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, because I despite me reading multiple Warlock comics, I still don't know exactly where he fits in. And Kia, thank you for reminding me of Magus, because I forgot that part. Because I saw like, oh, it's like Jim Starlin stars. I'm like, oh, that's cool. There's space. Oh, Warlock's here, but he's all like fucked up. I think I remember him being fucked up, but I can't remember. It's been a few years. This is him, right? Yeah, Magus. That's definitely a name I remember from reading Warlock comics. I don't remember how it fits in. That was basically, it's like, yeah, in my head canon, this was Adam Warlock the whole time.
Okay, that's fine.
But then he
I don't think that would have changed anything.
He looked like a one of the Twilight monsters from Zelda Twilight Princess.
He did.
Oh yeah.
That's what I mean by the fake digital art. You know.
And then and this is my minor thing, but I'll never say. Don't quote me on this, and don't bring this back up. It looks a little like current-ish John Romita art, but I like it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like this looks like a John Romita 2008 character design. Which I would have hated in 08, but here I'm like, I like this. I like this Bill Sienkiewicz.
Yep.
I sort of see what you're saying, but
just the way that the lines are kind of like straight, but then like kind of a flare out. It reminds me of like a lot of like Romita's like Kick-Ass and like Amazing Spider-Man, like circa 2008, like New Ways to Die kind of art design style.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I remember his stuff from around that time. It was very blocky, and then he'd have one character that was like anti-blocky.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But so maybe I like Romita art again. Maybe I've come back around. I don't know.
Well, I feel like Romita art is generally cleaner than all this. I think similar designs you can see, but like the execution, I think if Romita did this, would be very different. It'd be if it's like that era that you're talking about, more colorful than like the dark that this kind of has. But yeah, that's New Mutants, or at least what we read of it. I really enjoyed this. It's something that I would like to read like a full run of. I don't know that I'd have the time, and so it's not like a big priority for me. But I'm into it. I'm into it for sure. Chris, you've read all these?
I have not read all of these. The New Mutants is kind of like my biggest blind spot as far as like I've read, or I guess sunspot, as far as. Books I have not read. I don't really like any of the main characters. I think is the biggest issue I have with it. I think Roberto, he is very annoying, and that works a little bit better in X-Force. But here, I just don't like him. Cannonball is a little bit too boring. And then, I think Danny's probably the best one, but she's not like a regular member of the team for that much longer. So, I don't know. Like, it's a weird sort of mismatch of characters, and I don't know. I feel like there's almost too many of them. But whatever it is, it didn't convince me at the time when I started reading it to keep reading.
That's fair.
But I do like this particular series. Like, this is really good.
Mm-hmm. Vince, how about you?
Roberto was the son of like the mobster, right?
Yes, in the X-Force stuff we read, he's the one with money.
Yeah, I do love the part where he's like, the only male members of the New Mutants, Roberto DaCosta and Sam Guthrie, approached the mansion. A great game, was it not? 27 innings, nearly a record. And that says to me like somebody who does not know sports. at all. It was a record that game went on 3 times as long as it normally does. It was a 9-hour game, guys. Wasn't that crazy?
Wait, what was this from, Vince? I don't remember this at all.
This is in 21, the last issue.
When they're out in the snow.
Man, I don't remember. I skipped right over all that.
And Roberto and Sam are talking about a 27-inning baseball game, which doesn't happen, but here we are.
Yeah, but it's also like they're young enough that that's exciting. Like I remember the Astros had like a 20-inning game.
Yeah, that was an 18-inning game.
Yeah, when I was in middle school or high school, and I was like, oh, this is exciting. But yeah, 27 innings, I'd be like, good.
But the way it was presented is like 2 boys. There, we feel extracted. I am a boy. We should talk about sports. Sports fact. Sports fact. Is what it read to me. I really like the art as far as like all the monsters go for Bill Sienkiewicz. I think his character work for this just didn't grab me because I couldn't, like you said at the beginning, I couldn't tell who was who. It's possibly also because the cast was just too big. And I think there's a couple issues in the middle there where it's all like fighting and not so much like character downtime moments, which is what I really like out of X books, and that's what I liked about this issue 21 was like the party and like the connection to like things that I knew. But that's my problem. But it's like, oh, Professor X stuff, when they start talking about that, then I'm like in. But I like the idea of like we're having a party, but we also have to hide who we are. But then there's these other people that are normies that just kind of want to see like what our deal is. Like that part was more interesting to me than any of the Warlock fighting stuff.
Right. And I like, I think Claremont does a good job. I mean, obviously we're not the first to say it, but he does a good job. Like in that first issue, I think 2 different characters are like Sam has a crush on Magma. So like if you're just picking this up for the first time, you're like, who's Magma? Oh, I guess that fire girl that Sam has a crush on. And then at the last issue of Fighting, he thinks Ileana is using the Soul Sword to kill Magma and like tackles her. And Magma's like, you moron. she was helping me. Like, she's not trying to kill me.
Yeah. Overall, some problems for sure. But I
was not expecting this out of a 80s X book, though, by Claremont.
Yeah.
I was not.
It's very forward-thinking for its time. Yeah.
Yeah, and very atypical of him, considering, like, all the other stuff we read of him. Like, this is very atypical for him. I don't love it. I'm interested by it. I think it's a good choice though, and it's much different. And I remember them marketing the movie as like it's X-Men but horror. And I never saw the trailer, but I remember reading like that's what people were like. They said they were going for, which I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. I'm really into. I hope that movie comes out. I have not seen the trailer. I'll probably wait 2 years to see the movie if it comes out. But I'm very excited.
Yeah,
for it.
I'm sure it's a mess, but
Yeah.
But I think was it Arya Stark was playing Rain. Chris? Sorry?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And Anya Taylor-Joy was
really
playing,
good casting.
Was playing, I think, Ileana, the girl who's in Emma right now, but she was like also in what am I trying to say? Not the movie before Glass, Split. And she's also in The Vivitch. She's a pretty good actress.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good casting.
From the director of The Fault in Our Stars. So your mileage may vary.
I don't know anything about anything that you mentioned just now. So, all right, so we're on to Marvels now. We've been reading that for a while. We read the original 4-issue miniseries plus the number 0 issue. Now we are on to Eye of the Camera number 6. It was a follow-up miniseries. And then next time we've got the Marvels finale. That's it. But yeah, this is the end of Eye of the Camera, which was 2010-ish, right?
Well, yeah, so issue 5 came out in April 2009. This came out in February 2010. So a 10-month delay between parts 5 and 6.
Okay.
So Chris was like, I read parts 5 and 6 together, and they hung really well together. That was not how most people read this, if they did.
Well, I honestly kind of think issue 6 is the only issue that you need to read. I enjoyed this one quite a lot more than the rest of the series.
That's probably what left a good taste in my mouth. Oh, we didn't even mention the Stranger Things boy is the teen boy is Cannonball.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
That's fine.
Fine. I'm sure it's good casting. I don't know if it came together, and it probably didn't, but if it comes out, it comes out. It'll probably be fun.
I predict it sweeps the Oscars, Vince. The greatest movie ever made.
At this point, my best movie of the year is Birds of Prey, followed by Sonic the Hedgehog, so it's a very good chance. Considering no movies are coming out right now.
I was going to say, Birds of Prey probably is the best movie I've seen in theaters this year. One of two.
Like Bloodshot would probably be the 6th best movie of the year by those standards. So, what are you going to do?
Vin Diesel finally going to get the best actor.
Wouldn't that be terrible? Wouldn't that be terrible? The Oscars were only like the 10 movies that came out this year. Bad Boys for Life, Best Picture.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good stuff.
Martin Lawrence finally can get his Oscar.
Will the ceremony still be 5 hours long?
Yes.
All right.
It'll be from everyone's house. It'll be through Zoom.
Ooh, a Zoom Oscars? That sounds like fun. All right, so we are on to Marvels. What happened at the end of the last issue? Phil is dying. He's in the hospital, and
Maggie the mutant.
Maggie the mutant girl shows up from way back.
Maggie the mutant.
Maggie the mutant. And you know, I was questioning: is this just like a vision? Is Phil dying, and he's just kind of remembering? No, it's really her. She says that when they were so kind to her and took her in when she was a kid, she saw the report about the Sentinels coming in on the news. She didn't want to put them in danger, so she left. Went to New Guinea. She was teaching. Her mutant power is like being able to kind of have X-ray vision, right?
Yeah.
And so she was able to help with them medically. And yeah, it's a nice little story beat. The family comes in, and the girls are all happy to see Maggie come back, and they're celebrating. And while they're all like having a grand old time, everyone's being happy. Phil does pass away.
There's a great scene where Maggie uses her like vision to like look into Phil, and it's like, oh crap.
Yeah, she just kind of looks away, like nothing I can do. Okay. And there's like a news report on TV. They're still doing all this stuff showing the X Factor. I guess again, kind of going back to the stuff from the last issue, the general public doesn't really know much about mutants. They know that X Factor is supposed to be hunting mutants, and they're like, wait a minute, X Factor is mutants. What the hell is all this? And Wolverine's like, hey, we're out of here. Bye, everybody. So, it still felt slightly disconnected to me, like the news story and the Phil story. But
I'm guessing now that you've read Fall of the Mutants, because it's not like one of the biggest X-Men.
No, I have not, no.
It's funny because, just doing the Demon Bear, it's literally about Forge's mentor gets possessed by like this Native American trickster god, and then the X-Men have to sacrifice themselves and go through like the Siege Perilous to kill this guy. So everyone thinks they're dead. That's the story in like 2 sentences.
Yeah.
That's what starts the period where the X-Men are in Australia and no one knows they're alive, from like 1987 or 88 to like 90. I think they mention here that like the whole the X-Men are believed to be dead at this point after all this. Yeah, so it's funny because it's more Native American mysticism where like they have to go through this like magical plane to fight this adversary is his name, and then once they do, everyone thinks they're dead.
I'm just glad that Danny didn't die when we were reading New Mutants, because I was like, geez, who was it who died at the very beginning of like the new X-Men in the 70s? What's that guy's name?
Thunderbird.
Thunderbird. Boy, that poor guy. Dead too soon. But yeah, I guess
and of course, New Mutants, Warpath gets introduced in the pages of New Mutants because he's the brother, and Emma Frost is like, hey, Professor X killed your brother, so you want to join my evil team? And he's like, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, let's do it. But yeah, overall, I thought the whole, like, the death of Phil was very well done. It did genuinely kind of bring a tear to my eye. The whole funeral scene, everybody remembering him, going on to still finish his book. Yeah, it was a nice story, and it didn't need to be 6 issues, but it was still pretty good.
Yeah, it kind of makes me. I've been like crapping on this whole thing, being like, this book be about like the Marvels and the superhero events seen through the perspective of like a normal person, not the normal person's story.
Yeah, somebody back there really hates it.
Yeah, Diana's not pleased with it. But what are you gonna do? This is.
She's just finding out Phil's died.
Yeah, she's not happy. But at the same time, like, I think, like, if I recontextualize this as this miniseries is Phil's story, not the Marvel story, then maybe I'd have more appreciation for this.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like it meanders and it revisits the same plot points over and over again through the arc. This issue works. I don't think the rest of them do.
Right. Yeah, I feel like if this, to rewrite this entire story, these last 2 issues, I think, worked a lot better for me. If the issues before that had been like sort of Phil kind of dealing with his friend, what's his name, from Daredevil, who got stabbed by Elektra.
Ben Urich?
Yeah, Ben Urich, dealing with his stuff. then I think I would have a better appreciation of it if it was just like, oh, like here's my friend, he's going through this, and if it just focused a little bit on him and stopped doing like a history of the Marvel universe for like 2 issues, and really just focused.
Yeah, like the toll it takes on journalists or real people rather than
exactly. Exactly. And like this really hurt my friend, but he grew out of it, blah, blah, blah. Then you could do like a 2-issue sort of mini story of that, and then have these 2 issues of like Phil dying. Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't seem like we spent 4 issues of just like, then this happened, then another thing happened.
What am I doing with my life? Why am I writing this book?
Then the Beyonder showed up, and I was like, the Beyonder, oh no, it's the Molecule Man. He's bad. And then the Molecule Man helped, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yep, this whole book was a lot of that for a while, but at least it stuck the landing. I'm very curious to see what Marvel's finale even is. That came out last year, 2019. It's a one-shot. I don't know anything about it other than that it exists.
I think it might only be 14 pages also. It's definitely painted by Alex Ross. So
okay.
So that is a thing. I have no idea if it's good. I have no idea if it's terrible. I heard nothing about it. So
yeah, we'll see. It'll be short. That's good. We'll be done with Marvel.
We were going to read Marvels, and it ended up taking us 12 episodes to go through.
Yeah, yeah. So that's okay. You know, we're getting through it. It's a fun long read. Some ups, some downs. We laughed, we cried, we got frustrated. So that's okay. What else are we doing next time? Oh, we're going to read some manga. We haven't read any manga for the show ever. Vince, you're not the biggest manga fan in general. Reading right to left, I know you're not a fan of.
It makes me motion sick. It makes me motion like literally. This is me, super American. If they just printed the whole thing and flipped it, like mirrored every image, I'd be happier. Like it's more reading the word balloons right to left, but the text going left to right. And I understand that the Japanese read, completely right to left, like it was, but it's the reading a whole word balloon left to right, and then jumping to a word balloon to the left of that is very disorienting for me.
That's fair. I feel like you'll get used to it. Just like you're older now, you can do it.
I've been reading a little bit of Astro Boy like over the last few years, and I actually read like the first like 20 pages of what we're about to do. And it's it was easier. I think that because I'm new to manga, and I didn't want to jump into Naruto or Akira or anything like.
Yeah, I wanted to read some Akira, but we're gonna start light for Vince.
I didn't want to go in, because I didn't like New Mutants here that much. I didn't want to go as like Akira. I don't see the big deal. I didn't want to be that person, having no knowledge of manga or anime or anything like that because I haven't seen the movie either. So I figured we'll go in with something that I at least know, like Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and I could say whether or not I executed the story accurately or appropriately, or added new nuances, or told the story in an intriguing way, or something like that. And then that's me dipping my toes in, and then maybe we can get to Cromartie High School someday.
Dude, I love Cromartie High School. Nobody else knows what that is, but that's okay. But we'll probably never do it for the show. So
JoJo, is that a bunny?
JoJo is not a bunny. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is what you're maybe thinking about.
You're thinking of that movie. I'm thinking of Usagi Yojimbo. That bunny.
Well, you're also thinking of that movie, JoJo Bunny.
Rabbit.
Yeah, JoJo Rabbit. That's the one.
JoJo Rabbit. Yeah. But no, Usagi Yojimbo is a rabbit. We're not going to read much of that, I don't think. Who knows? Maybe one day. It's kind of like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles adjacent kind of title.
He shows up in Ninja Turtles.
He does. Yeah,
that's true.
But no, we are reading Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, the first volume, which was from what year did we say? 1998.
The original Japanese, came out the same year as the game. The American translation came out later.
Okay,
like 08. We said. It's dirt cheap on Amazon Prime right now. It's like $5.39. What we're going to be reading right now, as of this recording. But I think Amazon Prime is obviously taking longer than 2 days at this point.
Order now. Get it.
I'm gonna look for it online. I can usually find a lot of manga online because I'm a jerk like that. No, but like there are websites that just kind of reproduce a lot of this stuff that maybe doesn't have American publication. It is like fan translated. Does exist online, so there might be other translated versions that exist.
There's one where it's like, fuck you, Navi.
Well, no, like
a lot of unnecessary curse words and like built-in jokes.
Oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, if it took them 10 years to make an English translation, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some fan versions out there. Maybe one that even flips it for you, Vince. Who knows?
Every like honorific, disrespectful statement is turned into like "fuck you, Light Sage."
It's the true American version. Yeah. It's not just translated; it's localized for us.
Exactly. That's what a teenager, that's what a 16 or 17-year-old would say when someone was like, "Hey, you've aged 7 years while you were sleeping." I take the liberty of putting these tights on you.
Well, I think that just about does it for us. Yeah, join us next time for Marvels and Ocarina. Anything else we want to talk about? Anything good going on in the quarantine for y'all?
I've been playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag on my Switch. It is so much fun. I'm having a blast.
Is that the pirate one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the pirate one.
Boy, I shut that off after like 10 minutes. I couldn't even get into like what was going on the ship.
I could not get into it at all when I played it on Wii U like 5 years ago, but man, it's fun on the Switch.
But now?
Yeah. Now I think I know what I was playing Witcher 3 and I was like, this reminds me of Assassin's Creed. I should just play Assassin's Creed instead. And I do not regret that decision.
I've been thinking about playing more Witcher 3.
Yeah.
I have been playing Resident Evil games because there's a new Resident Evil remake that came out, and so I replayed Resident Evil 1 remake, and I'm about to start Resident Evil 2 remake.
Ooh.
Very good, very good.
And I hear there's a Resident Evil 3 remake out soon.
Right, yeah, that's a new one. It came out already, yes.
I wonder if there's a Resident Evil manga. There has to be.
Some
of my friends read manga
we'll do that
about
next
video
time.
games. They could just change the whole
Yep.
show.
Why not? We've read all the comics. Might as well switch to the manga. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Vince, I love you.
I love you too.
Chris, I love you.
Oh no, a bear!
Oh, Jesus. And I'm Kia. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.